Hi everyone, this is Todd here with True Bread, coming to you live again real fast, rather unexpectedly. It is April 20th, 2026. Sun's just about to go down. Actually, the temperature's come way down. Had a cold front come through. It's cold out here right now. But if you follow True Bread at any length of time at all, maybe you're stumbling across this for the first time, but I've been talking about prophecy for 22nd year now. Started off in 2003 discussing new information to me, I guess, about prophecy with the kings, the king of the north, the king of the south, and the kings from the east, and developed that out through till today, after all these years. And started with talking about how the United States, NATO, and that group with the Zionist king of the north bloc, and that bloc, military bloc, would struggle against the king of the south, which is Iran, with Yemen obviously now. I didn't have the exact countries in 2003, but we do today. It's pretty clear. And ultimately against the kings from the east, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. When I started with the kings from the east, it was Russia and China. And in 2009, that branched out into a block of power of the BRICS. So there's our three blocks. So that's listed in Scripture. That's Daniel 11, verse 40, which I'll turn to. But the reason I'm sitting here now, I guess I shouldn't be too shocked. It's not unexpected at all. There are only a very few people that I trust online that I do follow on X, and that is one is Larry Johnson, CIA analyst for many years, and I just had opened up X and I was going through the scroll, and I come across Larry Johnson. This is just today. This is 7 hours ago, so I don't know exactly when this came out, but it came out today, April 20th. And Larry says here, if you don't know who Larry Johnson is, just look him up on X if you want. He gives critical analysis as far as intelligence is concerned and military. He's on Judge Napolitano a lot. He's on with Nima on Dialogue Works. He's got all the time. So that's who I recommend that you. That's not religious. He doesn't go on Scripture. I'm just saying as far as a secular source of information. Him and Douglas McGregor and Larry Wilkerson and Scott Ritter, and very experienced people like that, just down to a handful of people that I trust. So, but Larry says, I'm just going to read it. Retired CIA analyst Larry Johnson has revealed that Donald Trump wanted to use nuclear codes during a White House meeting on Saturday night. It's Monday tonight, so that's only 48 hours ago. General Dan Kane, the chairman of the chief of staff, stood up and said no. This is the level of instability in the White House. This is the man with his finger on the nuclear button. So when I started True Bread in 2005, prior to that, I was in conversation about this with my family and a so-called minister that I was following at that time, which was a mistake. But he didn't believe a word I was saying. But I was talking about the King of the North, like the three kings I just said. And in 2003, I wasn't thinking about Donald Trump and at all. And when I first saw Trump running, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a promo for NBC. Literally, if my dad was here, he'd tell you that. So, but I was, how do I say this, raised in a certain way in religion, since a little kid, coming up to expect an Antichrist. And I have had to correct myself at True Bread several times, and that was a mistake I was making. I was calling Trump the Antichrist. And the more I studied Trump with Daniel 11, I'm going to read Daniel 11 here momentarily, just to get it on the tape, that I realized, no, he's not the Antichrist. he's the king of the north. I'll get to that. Just give me a few seconds. And then I realized I started studying about the Antichrist, and I realized there is no human being listed in Scripture that is the Antichrist. That is, I call it religious propaganda. It's a dogma from nominal Christianity accepting things. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Nominal Christianity celebrates Easter. That's something that's very similar. That's just dogma. That's what they believe. That's what they do. That's what they teach. Same thing with the Antichrist. It's just the so-called, I call them the Sunday morning pastor pimps. They've grown up into seminary and theology schools and their churches that they grew up in. Well, that's what they're taught from being a little kid, and they say it today. There is no Antichrist in the Scripture. The word Antichrist is in the Bible 4 times. It's in John 1 and 2. And what John is saying, he's writing in his letter he wrote to believers, is the first thing, to be aware of Antichrist's attitude against the Messiah. Well, the first adversary to the Messiah was Satan. So that's the mindset that human beings get into when they oppose the Messiah. Like if I've got 14 so-called church buildings within 2 miles from where I'm sitting. If I were to go into these buildings on Easter and say, hey, this is pagan, don't do this, what would be the reaction? So that is a mindset, an adversary against the Messiah to celebrate paganism. But they don't want to hear that. They're not going to listen. They're not going to believe what I'm saying, and I understand that. And I don't go out into and cause confrontation. I try to tell you, if you believe Scripture and the words coming out of my mouth, which you can prove yourself, and you should, in the translation of 1st and 2nd John from the Greek, from the they call it Koine Greek. I don't want to get too technical, but you can go into the NA28 and look this up. It's very simple to do. So what I'm saying is very easy to prove. That's what I did to myself. That the translators in the in the New King James version, they used a little word the, which was not in the Greek, and then they capitalized the A, which was not in the original translation of Greek. So that's what I say, religious propaganda. They tried to make that a proper noun. So that's what people have read all their lives, come up, and they think, oh, there's going to be a human Antichrist. No, there is not going to be a human Antichrist. What there is going to be, what I just read, is a human figure called the King of the North. I've been saying it since 2005, live TV, 2007, live radio, YouTube, Rumble, X, podcast, whatever you want to say. I've been saying it for years, going in my 22nd year now. There is no, and I've had to learn myself, there is no human Antichrist. What I'm trying to tell you, what I just read about Trump wanting the nuclear codes, the King of the North. That's who is here on the scene, and no one knows it. And I've been trying my hardest to get the information out, and I understand what I'm fighting. You know, since the 1600s in translation, the King James Version, this concept of this human entity that people think is gonna be like the Messiah, and some people say it's gonna be Muslim. It's ridiculous. It's nonsensical. That's the King of the North. It's black and white in Scripture. I'm gonna read it to you right now. It's in. I could go into many more verses. I'm not going to. But in Daniel 11 verse 40, it says, "At the time of the end, the king of the south, this Iran and Yemen, which is we're watching it today. This is the whole point. Trump is threatening nukes. He wanted the nuclear codes. The Joint Chiefs of Staff head, Dan Kane, said no. Told him no. But that's where we are. The King of the South is going to attack him, the King of the North, and the King of the North, which is Donald Trump, that military bloc, United States, NATO, the Zionists together, shall come against him like a whirlwind." That's what we're seeing. I just read today. Gerald Ford, the aircraft carrier battle group, destroyers going into the area. They're flying troops in. It's just they've used this 2-week so-called ceasefire to just move in men, logistics, and weaponry into the area. You can just watch it on, there's an app called Live Radar 24. You can just watch, and he shows the military planes just pouring into the Middle East every day. That's the buildup. That's what I'm reading right here. With chariots, horsemen, with many ships, he shall enter the countries, overwhelm them, and pass through. That is what I did not understand in 2003. I was just getting the beginning of it in my head. I had not I knew it was the United States and NATO and the European Union and that bloc, but I did not have, Donald Trump was not part of the equation at that time, but is today. So the 2 points today, before I end this video. Number one, there is no Antichrist in Scripture. No human being, physical human being, that's going to come on the scene. Who's going to go into the temple and do all these things and miracles and call fire down and be this great figure that's just so appealing to everybody and deceives people, and to sit inside the Holy of Holies and show he's God himself. That's not going to happen. That's what I'm saying, is that's what people call the Antichrist is not going to happen. What is happening today, I'm telling you, is Donald Trump is the king of the North, and he wants nuclear codes. And I've been very patient and not wanting to get too excited in saying this, that I believe Trump and Netanyahu are going to nuke Iran, because Iran's not backing down, which I said. And the Houthis in Yemen, they're going to close down the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, just like the Strait of Hormuz, control up to 40% of the world's oil. That's the conflict that the Creator has set up in Scripture over you can't counterfeit oil. That's the thing, or food, or fertilizer, or rare earth minerals, helium, on and on, that go through. Some nations can't even eat food without the Strait of Hormuz. That's where we're at. These nations can't get their food. And Trump has come to the realization that Iran just yesterday shut the strait down again, and Trump said the strait is open. And I read today, I have not proved this yet, that the United States military, the Navy, attacked an Iranian ship and put a hole in the side of the ship and captured the ship. I do not know. I don't have the facts on that right at this exact moment. I will have them today. That's why this is kind of an emergency study about what Trump's asked. I just learned this within the last hour, that Trump asked for the nuclear codes in the Situation Room with the generals, and the generals said no. Now, my question is, if he had gotten those codes, what would he have done with them? If the President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief. I'm not a military guy. I don't know what the rules are. If the President wants to do, because they carry the football around with the President, and he's got the codes right there. I don't know what the protocol is. If the President of the United States wants nuclear codes, he has the codes right there. Does that mean he's going to launch? Well, why else would you ask for the codes? That's the whole terrifying point. Yes, he probably would launch nukes, because Trump is a narcissist, doesn't want to lose. All he does, that's the characteristics of the king of the North. He doesn't want to lose. He's not going to lose. He's got too much ego. He's a narcissist. He's not going to back down. What else does he have left? Nothing else is working. He's being made. People are just openly laughing at the guy around the world. And you know, the Trump's ego can't stand it. So what is the next logical step from a secular point of view, not scripturally, but secularly? What is the next step for someone who is a narcissist who has access to the nuclear codes? What do you think he's going to do with them? And that's right where we are tonight, April 20th, 2026. And I will have more information. As soon as I get it, I'll bring it out here. So it's Todd Kallenbach. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon, and keep the faith.